If you're watching this right now, there's a very good chance you're in the market for a new Kindle. Whether you're buying it for yourself or gifting it to somebody that you care about, I am making this video to help you decide which Kindle is best for your needs. And especially right now with all the recent Kindle announcements, I want to make sure you get the right one that will last you for years to come. Now, if you are buying a Kindle for yourself, I want to say a big congratulations to you. I bought my first Kindle back in 2020 during the pandemic, and it completely changed my life for the better. At the end of the day, it does not matter which Kindle you choose, they all help us achieve the same thing, which is read more books. Now, one quick thing I do want to mention, if you are looking for some extra accountability to read more regularly, I want to invite you to my book club called Presently Reading. Every single month, I choose a new nonfiction book to read, and I read it alongside a community of over 2,000 bookworms from around the world. It's been a great way to have that extra accountability to finish a book every single month. It's completely free to join, link down below for all the details. Now, the best way to figure out which Kindle is the right one for you is not by looking at all the technical details or anything like that. The best way to figure this out is by reflecting on your own reading habits. In my opinion, there are three categories of people that end up buying a Kindle. We have bookworms, we have visual bookworms, and we have notebook junkies. Now, starting with the first and most likely the most popular category that you'll resonate with is the bookworm category. If you are somebody who likes to read and that's all you care about, you are a bookworm. And for you, I have three Kindle models that might be for you. I'll start by sharing my top recommendation for the vast majority of people, and that is the Kindle Paperwhite. The Paperwhite is Amazon's top selling Kindle and most likely the one you should buy if you are a bookworm. The Kindle Paperwhite is the quintessential Kindle. It has all the important features that you need for reading, and it was also just updated in October 2024, so I have no doubt it'll last many years to come. These Kindles are not refreshed very often, so it's still very recent. Now, the baseline entry-level Kindle Paperwhite has a starting price of $159 US. There are a few features that I want to make sure you're aware of. The first and most obvious feature of owning a Kindle Paperwhite is the 7-inch e-ink display. If this is your first Kindle, having an e-ink device is a very different experience from your phone, for example. The technology is not meant for distracting apps or anything like that. A Kindle is only meant for one thing, and that is reading books. The e-ink display is very comfortable to read on. It feels like reading real paper. The Paperwhite has a black and white 7-inch display, which is very comfortable. It feels like the size of a regular paperback book. And the new model that just came out in 2024 is also very snappy and fast. Now, I will say, do not compare this to your iPad or your phone. It's nothing like that at all, so it will be a bit more sluggish and slow compared to those devices. But in terms of a Kindle, all you can do is read books, and for that purpose, it's actually very reliable and very fast. The Paperwhite also has a 12-week battery life. Now, again, if this is your first Kindle, that might be a surprise to you. These things do last a long time on a single charge. That e-ink technology does not consume very much power, so you get to use this device without charging it for a very long time. Now, the Paperwhite does have a few other features, one of them being the front lit display. So if you read in dark environments, having that lighting built into the screen is actually very, very helpful. And also on the Paperwhite, you're going to get something called adjustable warm light. The warm light makes a big difference if you are a nighttime reader. If you read right before bed, having that warm light might help a little bit with your sleep. It also really helps during the daytime. I use it all the time to make the screen look a bit more natural looking. Having that option to adjust the warm light temperature just makes a big difference in my opinion. You're also going to get the option for dark mode if you want to invert the colors on the display, which might be handy for a lot of people who prefer that theme. The Paperwhite also has water resistance, so if you like to read while showering or in the bath or by the pool or at the beach, you don't have to worry about that either. And of course, the Paperwhite does come in a few fun color options. If you want to have a jade or raspberry color, those are the two new options. This came out very recently, and you also have a black option as well. Now, if you are in the bookworm category of people buying a Kindle, there are two other options available to you besides the Kindle Paperwhite, and it all depends on your budget. If you want to save some money, I have the Kindle Basic that I want to recommend to you, or if you have some extra money that you want to spend, there's also the Kindle Paperwhite Signature Edition. Let me start by talking about the Basic. Now, don't be fooled. Just because the Kindle Basic is called Basic, and just because it's less expensive does not make it any less of a Kindle. This thing is actually, in my opinion, one of the best Kindles you can buy right now. Now, the Kindle Basic was also just refreshed in October 2024, so it'll last you for several years to come at a starting price of $109 US. Now, one thing you should definitely know is on the Amazon website, they don't actually call this Kindle the Kindle Basic. It's just called the plain old Kindle. And the reason why I call it the Basic is because it gets very confusing when referring to the Kindle as just the Kindle. So most people who review these Kindle devices refer to the entry-level model as the Kindle Basic. Now, if you ask me, there are only 4 major differences between the Basic and the Paperwhite. And one of them is probably actually a benefit for a lot of people, and that is the screen size. The screen on the Kindle Basic is 1 inch smaller than the Paperwhite, so we have a 6-inch display on the Kindle Basic that actually makes it small enough to fit in a lot of people's pockets, much more portable when traveling. The second difference is also the build quality of the device. Now, the Kindle Basic is much more plasticky feeling compared to the other Kindles, which may be a turnoff for some people, but if you ask me, this also has some benefits. First of all, the plastic feels pretty strong and durable to me, so I don't bother buying a case for my Kindle Basic, I just use it as is. I also like how the screen is not completely flush, which actually makes the text on the screen a bit more crisp because there's less layers of glass between your eyes and the screen. And of course, I cannot forget to mention how the Kindle Basic is the only Kindle that comes in the matcha color. The matcha color is my favorite color of all the Kindles. I just think it's so much fun, and if you love drinking matcha tea, this might be for you. Now, the 2 major downsides of the Kindle Basic is the fact that it does not have any water resistance, so if you do read by the water, this will be a deal breaker for you. And also, there's no adjustable warm light. There is still the regular front light, but you cannot adjust the temperature of the screen, so that might be a turnoff for some people as well. Now, depending which country you're in, you might also see one other option when buying a Kindle Basic or a Kindle Paperwhite, and that is the option to remove lock screen advertisements. Now, honestly, I think this is the most stupid thing that Amazon currently has. They make you pay 20 bucks extra to remove these sponsored ads from your screensaver. If you don't pay that, you're gonna see these random book covers on your screensaver all the time. And also you have this extra step of swiping to unlock, whereas if you pay for the removal, all you do is press the power button and it turns right onto your book. Now, if you are buying a Kindle Basic, it might be worth spending 20 bucks extra to remove those lock screen ads and get rid of that swipe to unlock annoyance. But if you are considering the Kindle Paperwhite and you're gonna be paying 20 bucks more, you might wanna consider the Kindle Paperwhite Signature Edition instead. The Kindle Paperwhite Signature Edition is the same thing as regular Kindle Paperwhite with a few extra bells and whistles. The starting price of the Signature Edition is $199 US. When you buy the SE model, you get 5 additional benefits compared to the regular Kindle Paperwhite. The first benefit is the inclusion of no lock screen ads that is built into the price. The second benefit of the Signature Edition are these new metallic colors. Even though you have the same jade and raspberry options on both the Paperwhite and the SE, on the SE, you're gonna have this shine and more premium look to it. It's very subtle, but I do think holding it and the way it looks is a lot nicer compared to the regular Kindle Paperwhite. The third benefit you're gonna get is an automatic adjusting light sensor on the display. So instead of having to manually adjust the brightness every time you wanna change the brightness level, it'll do it automatically for you, very similar to how your phone operates. It is kind of nice to have, but it doesn't always work perfectly, so I don't think this feature by itself is worth it. The last 2 benefits you're gonna get are wireless charging support and additional storage capacity, both of which are a complete waste in my opinion. Having wireless charging is very annoying because you have to buy the wireless charger separately, so the price is even higher. And on top of that, this battery already lasts for 12 weeks at a time. What is the purpose of wireless charging if you're barely going to be charging it in the first place? In terms of storage capacity, Kindles do not require much storage. Unless you're putting a bunch of audiobooks or graphic novels with pictures on your Kindle, you don't really have to worry about it. Even if you get a small Kindle with 8 gigabytes of storage, the ones from previous years, those will last you for so long because they don't fill up very easily. You have to put thousands and thousands of books on these Kindles to really take up any storage. All right, the next category of people who might be buying a Kindle are visual bookworms. Visual bookworms are anyone who like to read books with a lot of visual graphics. Things like graphic novels, manga, comic books, cookbooks, or even travel guides. Now, if you only read these types of books once in a while, I would highly recommend you pick something from the bookworm category. This specific category of visual bookworms is probably going to be the smallest category of people. Now, if you do happen to identify as a visual bookworm, there's one specific Kindle that I want to recommend to you, and that is the brand new Kindle Colorsoft. Now, look, even if you are a regular bookworm, the Kindle Colorsoft might still be a good option for you. It's essentially the same thing as a Kindle Paperwhite Signature Edition with the added benefit of a color display that shows colors when you're reading, so it's still a lot of fun to use for regular people like me. If you are a visual bookworm, you'll obviously benefit from that color display, but if you're not, there are a few places you'll probably still see the color come up. For example, the screensavers are all color, you'll see your book covers in color, and of course when you're highlighting or taking notes, you have the option for color highlights as well. Now, even though on paper it may sound like the Kindle Colorsoft is the best Kindle to get right now because of that color technology, it really isn't. There are several trade-offs that you have to be aware of when buying the Colorsoft. The first con of the Colorsoft is the high price tag. The starting price of the Colorsoft is $279 US, almost $300 for this Kindle. Another big issue that you should be aware of is the Colorsoft had a ton of issues when it first came out. Hopefully by now, when you're watching this, all of those issues will be fixed, but there were a lot of display quality issues that people had, which gave it a lot of bad reviews. The Colorsoft is also not as snappy and fast as the Kindle Paperwhite. The Kindle Paperwhite, in my opinion, is one of the fastest Kindles that were ever made, but the Colorsoft, even though it's based on the Kindle Paperwhite, because of the color technology, it does slow down quite a bit. Now, I'm not going to say it's a very slow device, it works just fine, but if you do put it side by side with the regular Kindle Paperwhite, you will see that difference. Another difference that you'll see side by side is the display is not going to be as crisp as the regular Paperwhite. Now, if you use the Colorsoft by itself without any kind of comparison, the screen looks just fine. But the second you put it side by side with any other Kindle, you'll notice this newspaper kind of effect. It has this grainy look to it. It's not as clear or sharp as a regular black and white Kindle. And the last trade-off of the Colorsoft is the fact that the screen is not as bright. It still looks fine when you crank up that brightness, but you definitely got to crank it up much higher on the Colorsoft than you do on the regular Kindle Paperwhite. Not the biggest deal, but when all these trade-offs are combined and you put this device side by side, you can definitely see it's not the same thing. If you're buying a Kindle for the first time, I would highly suggest staying in that bookworm category. Unless you need that color display for some very specific purpose, do not buy that device just because it's color. I think it's still very early in the technology and it will get better down the road. The last category we have are notebook junkies. If you are somebody who really loves to take notes with pen and paper, and you have a collection of notebooks that keeps getting bigger every single year, then I would classify you as a notebook junkie, and I have one Kindle that is perfect for you. The Kindle Scribe was also just refreshed in December of 2024, and it's the biggest Kindle you can buy with a 10-inch display. Now, I would definitely only suggest buying the Kindle Scribe if you intend on using the notebook features. You can definitely just read on this device if you want to, but it is not as comfortable in my opinion. It's a really big device that is very much optimized for note-taking. The Kindle Scribe has a starting price of $399 US. It does come with a pen that lets you take notes in virtual notebooks on the Scribe, and I've got to say, when you put that pen against the screen, it feels like writing on real paper. It's a very magical experience, and they did a very good job making it feel as realistic and natural as possible. The best way I can describe the Kindle Scribe is imagine having a notebook, but with all the advantages of technology, like being able to export your notes and summarize them using AI. The Kindle Scribe also has some special features when reading books. For example, you can take handwritten sticky notes while annotating on the Kindle Scribe. There's also a feature coming out in a few months where you can take notes in the virtual margins of the display. It really does make the note-taking experience while reading a lot more fun. Now, personally, I do not enjoy reading on my Kindle Scribe. The screen is just way too big. I've been just fine using my finger for highlighting books on my other Kindles and using the on-screen keyboard for typing up short notes. That has been just fine for my needs. With that being said, I do use the Scribe quite often when I want to jot down some quick notes. I've completely eliminated all my notebooks in my life and use the Kindle Scribe for anything handwritten related. I don't use it very often, but when I do have that special need for taking handwritten notes, maybe doing a brain dump or a checklist or anything like that, the Scribe is the first device that comes to mind. Now, I do have links for all the Kindles we talked about down below. If you buy a Kindle using that link, it supports my channel. Thank you very much in advance if you decide to do that. I also have links for all the individual review videos if you want to dive deeper to any of these Kindles. Link down below for all of that as well. Thank you so much for for watching. I'll see you next time.